On December 13th, 2017, Barry and Honey Sherman, multi-millionaires and philanthropists in Toronto, were murdered in their mansion at 50 Old Colony Road in Toronto. And today I am going to be talking about the will, which the Toronto Police Service says is embedded in the criminal investigation involving their murders. And across the street from me here at 155 Wellington Street West is the offices of Davies, Ward, Phillips, and Weinberg, which is a powerhouse law firm in Toronto. And back in 2013, Barry Sherman used their services to create a will involving his estate. And for someone who was worth billions of dollars, the will that he did prepare was pretty simple. And the Toronto Police Service says that the will that Barry Sherman created back in 2013 and then amended back in 2017 is embedded in this unsolved murder case and investigation. So let's go back to 2013 when Barry Sherman created his will. And in his first will, he had 8 trustees. And 4 of those trustees were all of his children. His son Jonathan and his 3 daughters, Lauren, his oldest, Alexandra, and Kaylin, his youngest daughter. Other 4 people in Barry Sherman's estate included Jack Kay, one of his long time co-workers. They literally had offices beside each other at Apothec, the generic pharmaceutical company that Barry Sherman started in the 1970s. And a best friend of Barry Sherman, Jack Kay, for 35 years. Another trustee was Craig Baxter, who was at the time the president of Sherman Family Holding Company. Mike Florence, who was the husband of Barry Sherman's sister. And Alan Schumann, who was the husband of Honey Sherman's sister. Sherman's will in 2013, it stated that Honey Sherman, upon Barry Sherman's death, would receive all of the net income from his estate for her comfort, and she would be able to live off of that net income from his billion-dollar business, as well as his real estate holdings. But she wouldn't be able to make any decisions related to the capital, which means she wouldn't be able to sell shares, invest, or sell any of his major assets. And in 2017, the same year that Barry Sherman was murdered, his will was amended. And this might be why the Toronto Police Service is stating that this will is such an important piece of this criminal investigation. In 2017, Barry Sherman amended his will at the law firm of Davies. And in his amended will, he eliminated 4 of the 8 trustees in his original will from 2013. And the trustees that were eliminated were all of his 3 daughters, as well as Craig Baxter, Mike Florence, the husband of Barry's sister, as well as Alan Sherman, the husband of Honey Sherman's sister. The 4 trustees that remained were Jonathan Sherman, Barry Sherman's son, Jack Kay, one of Barry Sherman's oldest confidants and friends, Alex Glassenberg was added as a trustee. He had worked for Apotec for 31 years. And Alexandra, Barry Sherman's daughter, her husband was added as a trustee. So those were the new trustees but the daughters were taken out, which I don't know if that has anything to do with why the Toronto Police Service has honed in on Barry Sherman's will. But when Barry Sherman changed his will in 2017, 9 months before him and Honey Sherman were murdered, Jonathan was pushing Barry Sherman to add Adam Paulin, Jonathan Sherman's business partner, as a trustee on Barry Sherman's will. And Barry Sherman was adamant, no way in hell was he gonna add Jonathan Sherman's business partner, Adam Paulin, as a trustee. And unfortunately, Honey Sherman was not close with her children when she was alive. She used to actually refer to her children as Nazis. Now, Honey Sherman was born in a concentration camp during World War II. So maybe that's why she used that term. And friends of Honey Sherman stated that she would not have been generous in terms of giving her children, Lauren, Jonathan, Alexandra, and Kaylin, as much money as Barry Sherman did. in his lifetime, and Barry Sherman gifted his 4 children millions and millions of dollars while he was alive. And yet Honey Sherman was not gifted any money of her own from Barry Sherman. And in the event that Barry and Honey Sherman were both dead, their 4 children would receive all of Barry Sherman's estate, and they would have to share it equally. And this has caused a lot of tension in the Sherman family amongst the siblings. In fact, Jonathan Sherman doesn't talk to any of his siblings. And one of the Sherman family members actually has taken issue with Barry Sherman's last will that was created in 2017, 9 months before him and his wife were murdered. That family member, and apparently it is a Sherman family member, has taken issue with the signing of the 2017 will, suggesting that it hadn't been signed by witnesses prior to Barry and Honey Sherman's murder. And the 2017 will, the witnesses on that will were both administrators at Apotec, the company that Barry Sherman was in charge of. And that family member, that Sherman family member, also suggested that the Davies, Ward, Phillips, and Vinberg law firm rushed to have Barry Sherman's 2017 will signed upon hearing that Barry Sherman was murdered. They also questioned the legitimacy of Barry Sherman's signature in the 2017 will, in which all of his daughters were removed as trustees. And one of the final changes in terms of Barry Sherman's will is that his best friend, Jack Kay, and longtime associate of Apotec, was fired a year to the day that Barry Sherman and Honey Sherman were murdered. Jonathan Sherman went into Jack Kay's office at Apotec and fired him. Fired him. One of Barry Sherman's best friends, associates. He was fired and escorted out of the building, and subsequently was removed as one of the trustees of Barry Sherman's estate. So, in terms of what clues does Barry Sherman's estate hold in regards to this unsolved murder? Some would say cold case in Toronto, the billionaire murders of Barry and Honey Sherman. What exactly have the Toronto Police Service discovered in the will of Barry Sherman? And should it be suspect that Jonathan Sherman was pushing for his business partner, Adam Poland, to be named as a trustee and also a part of the succession of Barry Sherman's business and legacy? Is that what the clue is in terms of the estate and will? And should we also take into account that Honey Sherman's relationship with her children was fractured? And that she would not have been as generous in terms of giving money to the children as Barry Sherman was? Would that be why she was also murdered on December 13th, 2017?